Hey guys, today's video is going to be focused all around high stat armor, sources to get them, and how to farm them efficiently. High stat armor is very useful in this game because it is basically the centerpiece to every build. Stats in this game basically improve the gameplay experience dramatically, and depending on what build you want to run, it could just increase the fun factor of the build. So resilience, for example, lets you have more damage resist at the higher tier it is, which is a very important stat to have. And the higher it is, the more damage resist you get. Or something such as discipline, you can throw more grenades, which just can increase the fun of the build, the potency of the build, and just make the builds all around better because you have higher stats. Typically, you want to aim for two 100 tier stats, and if you farm enough, grind enough, you can get up to 3, and possibly in some circumstances even 4. I have one build, sad to say, that has triple 100s. The rest have 2 because I'm pretty satisfied with where they are, and it's kind of difficult to get multiple stats sometimes. So I still personally will be farming more armor in the future. But one important thing before you do any of these sources is you need to go right over to your ghost and equip the mod in this slot. This mod will make sure that whatever stat you want to farm, whether it's resilience, strength, even if you want intellect, this mod will make sure that your piece of armor will have 10 in the stat no matter what. Even if it's like a 49 drop piece of armor, it will have 10 in the stat of your choosing. These are very important. You need to have one on your build. So yeah, do that, and let's get right into the video. One key thing I forgot to mention is how stats work in this game. Stats are very weird in the fact that they're split into 2 different groups, mobility, resilience, and recovery being one of the groups, discipline, intellect, strength being the other. So groups of stats are split evenly between the stats. So what that means, if you get a 60, so this piece is a 63 piece, or we can look at this one. This one's not masterwork. 64 piece. This will be split evenly between the 2. So if you look at the discipline, intellect, and strength stats, there's 32 points combined there. And if you look at the mobility, resilience, recovery, there's 32 in that one as well. It is split very evenly between them. So if I want a piece like this one with 20 discipline, I would need to have 20 in the other side. So it's physically impossible unless you do some like fragment like manipulation or some mod manipulation with like the fonts to get triple 100s in one group. So I cannot have 100 discipline, 100 intellect, and 100 strength on the same build. If I have 100 in one, you more than likely will have 100 in the other group. So the way I did it, if you look at my build right now, is I have 100 discipline, meaning I have 100 resilience. And then the other stats down here are 62. And then I have one more here, so 63. And then between mobility and recovery, I have 85 up here. It is a little bit off because I have mods on that favor it. The mods are like, so if you look here, I have 4 in the top group and 1 in the bottom. So that's just how it works. The mods will sort it out more, but it is basically effectively split into 2 groups evenly, and you cannot get triple in like one group or the other. I hope that was a good enough explanation. I know I kind of like rambled a little bit, but I hope you guys get it. By far the easiest way to get high stat armor is by going over to the helm and then running up to the war table. The war table is this season's vendor, and typically in seasonal upgrade trees, we get an option to focus high stat armor at the vendor. But this season, Bungie was generous enough to give us an upgrade that gives us a Defiant Engram after an activity. But with this upgrade, we have a chance to earn 2 Defiant Engrams after every activity, which then can be turned into armor pieces. Armor pieces take 2 engrams each, so if you so happen to get engrams from these from after activities, it could be any activity in the game, and if you do battlegrounds, you have a chance to get up to 5 engrams. So it's just really easy to obtain these engrams, and you can focus them into high stat pieces. Now, depending on what your ghost has, it will spike into that piece, but you can do this single engram and get a bunch of different pieces that are high stat, or you can grab certain pieces you want for 2 engrams. Very easy to get high stat armor, so if we just go through the gear, 64 piece with a discipline spike, a 65 piece with another discipline spike, not the greatest piece ever, another 62, not great, but you see where it's coming from. It's like 60 plus gear armor, very easy to get, and you get it just by playing the game. Pit of Heresy is a fantastic way to farm armor because the boss will always drop a piece of armor and it will spike into 2 different stats most of the time. It is a hard boss to farm because you can only get one piece of armor per character every week unless it is the pinnacle activity. If it is a pinnacle activity or the week of Pit of Heresy, you can farm it as much as you want, and I will make a video when that is available again. This one's not going to really be an effective source or something you should be waiting for, but if you do want to look around for it and pay attention on weekly resets, Master Vault of Glass, which comes around every 7 weeks, will have a modifier that prioritizes one specific stat. So 1 week it'll be mobility, 1 week it'll be strength, 1 week it'll be resilience, etc., etc. I don't know if there is a set rotation, and I don't know what it's on if there is a set rotation, but it is something to keep an eye out. If you see that Vault of Glass is the pinnacle, click on it, go to Master, see what the modifier or like the stat priority is, and if it is something you want, I would recommend farming it because it does stack with your Ghost mod. So those two in Tangent will have 2 peaks and have 2 stats with like 20 plus almost no matter what. It is a good farm if you can get a group going, but like I said, it's kind of unreliable because it's not around very often. But be on the lookout for it every reset, see if it is something you would be willing to farm. It's kind of a bonus one, not really reliable, but it is a really good way to get the pieces you want. This section of the video is going to be dedicated to Artiface armor, and if you don't know what Artiface armor is, it is a piece of armor that drops from Master Dungeons that rewards +3 stats of your choosing for 0 energy cost for your armor piece. So like this example is +3 intellect. I get this for absolutely free on my armor piece, and I used it to top off my intellect to get it from 27 to 30. This is a very, very, very helpful mod slot if you can do Master Dungeons. It is the hardest content in the game, so have a group ready and be prepared to have a little bit of a challenge. But if you get the chance, I would recommend farming this as much as possible and get as many good pieces as you can. And even if you don't want to farm it that much, at least get a class item. A class item is so free. It gives 3 bonus stats to a piece of armor that can never roll with anything. So it's quite effectively just +3 stats to anything. Class items, I have one on every character, and I would recommend getting one as well. Now, if you want to know how to get Artifice armor, it's pretty simple. 3 of the 6 dungeons we have currently in the game do reward Artifice armor. You have to do them on Master difficulty. It is the only way to get Artifice armor. And lucky for you guys, the week of April the 11th to the 18th, which is this week currently we're in, Grasp of Avarice is available to farm on Master difficulty. So if you get a group in there, farm the boss a little bit, you can get every piece of armor. All 4 of them with Artifice on it and a class item if you so please. So feel free to farm this. The Surges should make this easier. I haven't done it this season yet, but these should make it just a much easier farm. If you do want to wait for an easier farm, Duality should be available next week, April 18th to the 25th, and you should be able to farm Master in first encounter and last encounter. First encounter did have a bug, so there's no checkpoint spawning into the first one, but you can run to it. I have a video, I'll pin it at the top right now if you want to watch it. Other than that, Kaido is a really easy one phase if you get a good group going and a good rotation and learn the fight. Spire of the Watcher is the last dungeon you can farm. It is available all the time until season 21, which is next season. So the rest of the season you can farm Spire, but I wouldn't recommend it because the boss has like triple the health that the other 2 have, so it's a lot harder of a farm and you have to be a lot more careful. But this also does reward armor. Last time I did this though, it was bugged, so I don't know if it's been fixed. Someone in the comments let me know. I will pin the comment that tells me otherwise. But until then, try to avoid Spire. You have 2 weeks to farm the 2 good farms for Artifice armor. This last bit's going to be about exotic armor, and the only real way to target farm exotic armor is to do lost sectors. I know they're not everyone's favorite, but you can do Legend and Master lost sectors. Master does increase your chances to get an exotic. Legend is about a 1 in 5 to get an exotic, and Master is a 1 in 3. So if you just want to take your time, look at the day that the exotic is for, and if it's an easier lost sector, like an EDZ one, I would recommend farming it. If you're looking for legs, look for a leg day, etc. I'll post a schedule in the description, so just look at that if you want a specific piece. So the last part of this video is just going to be showing off this third-party website called D2 Armor Picker. It is a very, very helpful website in making you get the most out of your armor pieces that you farmed out and making the most out of your builds. Very simple website, and how it works is you click on the link in the description. I'm going to leave it down there. Sign in with your PlayStation, Xbox, or Steam accounts. It is a very trusted website, so don't worry about logging in. It hasn't hurt anyone. But first thing you do when you get to this website is you go to the character selection area. I know this website's overwhelming, so I'm going to do a step-by-step real quick. Very fast, so keep up with me. I'm gonna make a hunter build. Hunter build. Once you choose hunter and you decide you want to make a hunter build, go down to the exotic area and choose the exotic armor piece you want to use. So let's say I want to make a I don't know, Liar's Handshake build. We're gonna make a Liar's Handshake build. So we're gonna click the exotic, and now the builds are only gonna show the exotic that we chose, Liar's Handshake. Scroll down a bit more, get to the stat boost section, and then you want to choose the subclass for the build you're using. So I want to use Arc since I'm using Liar's Handshake, and it only really works with that. It's going to show all the fragments for the subclass, but not like every single one. It's only going to show the ones that affect your stats. So fragments come with stat boosts or bonuses or negatives, and you want to choose the ones that you're going to use. I would recommend doing this in game first, and then coming back and just choosing the fragments you ended up deciding on. But since we're on the website, we're going to do it from here. So let's say we want to do Spark of Feedback since it increases melee damage when we take some. This is going to give us plus 10 resilience. The website needs to know that to take into account and make our build with our selections here. Spark of Resistance we want because we're going to be up close and personal, so we want the plus 10 strength. And we'll do Spark of Shock because we want our arc grenades to jolt. Why not? So then it's going to take these stat bonuses and put them into our build. Next area you need to worry about is these 3 advanced settings. Don't worry about the rest of the advanced settings. You just want to worry about this Masterwork section. And if you are poor on currencies, you're kind of broke, you wouldn't like to waste them on a Liar's Handshake build, you want to uncheck this. If you cannot Masterwork your Liar's Handshake, you want to uncheck the exotic items are Masterworked, and the build will not take that into account. It'll make sure that your Liar's Handshake aren't Masterwork, and it won't use the 12 extra stats you get from Masterworking armor. So you don't have a pair of boots that are Masterworked either, you can uncheck the legendary. It'll still try to use Masterworked armor that you have, but it just won't assume that all of them are Masterworked. Since I have the currencies and I can Masterwork everything, I'm going to have all 3 selected, and then you want to scroll back to the top. Now it's going to show us all the builds we can make with our configurations that we chose down below. Right now we have 22,000 selections. That's a little too high for me, so I want to narrow that down more. That's where this first area comes in. These stats are what you want for your build, so once you choose something, the build generator will make sure that you have those stats you chose. So let's say I want 100 resilience since I'm getting up close and personal. It's now going to show me every single build with 100 resilience. Narrowing down the selections to 19,000, but that's still way too high. We'll want to narrow that down more. Since we are a Liar's Handshake build, let's say we want strength. Strength's not the most necessary, we want a hunter, but don't worry about it. It's a melee build. So now that we have 100 strength, 100 resilience, it's going to narrow down the selections even more to 2,400. And now since we have those selected, it wants to do those no matter what, which means it won't let us do impossible stats. So we won't be able to do 100 mobility because we don't have armor to get us there to get triple 100s with these. But you can go to the highest tier. So let's say this one's at 90 and we want to throw more nades. So we're going to choose 90. It'll now lower it, our combinations down to 27. And that's about it. That's about where the sweet spot is. That's where you want to like get it lowered to. If you want to be more picky with it, you can choose like 40 recovery and it'll lower it even more to 2. But say we're not that picky, so we're going to do 0. Next thing you want to do is if you still have combinations and you don't know what you want to choose between these builds, I would recommend doing tiers and making sure there is a down arrow. You just click it twice and a down arrow should spawn next to it, meaning it'll sort by most tiers you can have possible. So since we want the most tiers possible and we want the most out of the armor we farmed, we're going to do only these 38s because it is the most we can get. Next, we want to look at the stat distribution. Since these top 3 are all the same, they all have the same exact distributions because they go by 10s. So they all have 30 recovery, 20 intellect, and 40 mobility. We want to go eliminate this, or we want to look at the last one, which is a little different, which will give us 30 intellect and 25 recovery. So we have 1 less recovery for 1 more intellect. We want to decide what's more important. I'm going to decide recovery is more important, and then we want to just and then since these 3 are the same and we chose that we want to have one of these 3, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the mods and look what takes the most. And since they all are 3-cost mods, they're not resilience or recovery mods or intellect mods, we can choose whatever one we want. So I'm going to click on this. Oh, nothing's Masterworked here. I don't want to use this one. Let's click on this one. Oh, we have a chest piece Masterworked here, so I don't need to Masterwork the chest piece. Let's click on the last one. Oh, the helmet's Masterworked. So choose whatever is like the lowest cost material wise. It'll show it all down here and then select it. Once you have a build selected, click copy to the dim keyboard or clipboard. And then now you're going to need to go to dim via either app or website. And what you're going to do is go to the blank search bar, and paste in that whatever you just copied. It's going to be a lot of ID numbers. Don't worry about it. It's just going to highlight the armor pieces you should be using. So it's going to highlight this one. I should have that equipped. It's going to show the Slayer's Handshake, so I'm going to transfer it to my character. Apparently Dim's having errors right now. Can't transfer it. Anyways, you're going to want to transfer it to your characters and equip them. Once you equip them, you need to go back to the website for one more second and look down here. These are going to show you what mods it wants you to equip. So it wants me to equip 1 discipline mod and 4 strength mods, as well as 1 resilience, 1 discipline, and 1 strength artifice mod. Very simple. Just equip these stats onto your armor, and then you should have all the stats that are down here are the ones that you selected up top. That's about it for the video. I hope you guys enjoy the website. I hope you guys learned something new in the video. And yeah, if this video helped you in any way, I'd appreciate a sub, a like, and stick around for more. I'm going to upload more tip videos in the future. I hope you guys all have a great day. See you guys later.